I was 17 when my parents bought a new house that gave my room to my sister's boyfriend. My dad tossed my clothes in the trash bags and said time to grow the hell up, we're done baby. Sitting a useless mouth to feed my brother laughed. My mom looked me straight in the face and said he's more of a sudden than you ever were, at least he earns his keep. I just stared at them and said calmly, I won't forget this. And one day neither will you. 5 years later, I made a move they never saw coming now. They're begging, please come home, okay? So I'm just going to say I'm not writing this for sympathy or some fake therapy arc or whatever. I just need to get this out because NG, I still think about it more than I should. If this sounds messy, it's because it is. My family never did anything the easy way. So yeah, anyway, this all started when I was 17 and my parents announced out of nowhere we were moving, not like a let's sit down and talk thing. Just my dad came into the kitchen and said we're closing on a new place. End of story. I remember my mom was already on her phone texting like she was planning a vacation. And my brother Randall was making that face he always does when he thinks he's in on something. I should have known something was weird because nobody asked what I thought, just told me to start packing my crap. We'd been living in this old place forever. And I kind of liked it, even if it was falling apart. I had my own room, barely big enough for a bed and my old Xbox, but whatever. And yeah, I get that parents don't owe you a palace or whatever, but this, I felt off from the jump. My sister Bonnie was older, always the favorite, and lately she'd been bringing her boyfriend Rodney around all the time. Rodney is the kind of guy who acts like he's part of the family from day one. But it's all fake nice, always helping Mom with groceries or whatever, just so she'd talk about how respectful he called my dad sir and laughed at all his dumb joke. I never did that. I guess I've always been the quiet one, which my parents somehow read as lazy or ungrateful. So moving day comes, and for whatever reason, I'm last to get my stuff over. My parents kept telling me to hurry up, that I was holding everyone back. But honestly, nobody was waiting on me. I get to the new house. It's honestly not even nice, just bigger. More beige, if that makes sense, and as soon as I walk in, I see my stuff in trash bags in the hallway, not boxes, not even just tossed in my old laundry basket, just straight up trash bags. Randall sitting on the stairs grinning like he just saw meme. He can't wait to send his group chat. I'm like, what the hell, right? I start looking around for my room, and I can't find. Did every door is closed except for one, and I open it, and there's Rodney already setting up his monitor on my desk. He doesn't even look up, just as I should knock next time. I'm not even mad at him at that point. I'm just confused. I go back out and ask my dad, like, where do I sleep? He shrugs and says I'm 17, time to grow the hell up. He's done babysitting a useless mouth to feed. I'm not even exaggerating. He actually said useless mouth to feed, like I'm a stray cat or something. Mom's right there, doesn't even flinch, just tells me Rodney pays rent now, which is more than I ever did. She says maybe I'll learn something from him about being a real man. Bonnie's pretending not to hear, but she's smirking, and I just want to throw something at the wall. And then, Randall, because he can't help himself, starts making these little digs about how I'll be sleeping in the garage and should be grateful they didn't leave me at the old house. I tell him to shut up, and he pushes me, not like a full-on fight, but enough to make the trash bags fall over. My dad tells me not to start drama like I'm the one making a scene. I try to stand my ground. I tell them I'm not leaving. This is my room. I've earned it as much as anyone else. My dad laughs and asks doing what exactly, playing games and eating their food. My mom's looking at me like she's waiting for me to apologize or something. I look at her and ask her if she's serious, and she just says Rodney is more of a son than I ever was. At least he earns his keep. I swear I just stood there holding this trash bag with my old hoodie sticking out of it, and I felt like I was in the wrong house, like I'd walked into someone else's family by accident. I'm not proud of this, but I lost it. I dropped the bag and started yelling, which is not me, but whatever. I said if they wanted me gone so bad they'd get their wish, but not to come looking for me. When things went sideways, Randall rolled his eyes and said, don't let the door hit you, and my dad laughed again, which pissed me off more. I grabbed my stuff and tried to get past Bonnie, but she blocked the door and said I was being dramatic, that nobody else had a problem with the I shoved past her, and she slapped my arm hard. I just kept walking. I went back to the garage and tried to get my bike, but Randall had locked it up with his own lock. I didn't even bother asking. I just grabbed what I concur Gary some clothes, my old phone charger, my headphones, and walked out. My dad yelled after me not to come back unless I was ready to be an adult. I remember standing outside, not really knowing where to go. My group chat was mostly Randall friends anyway, and I sure as hell wasn't calling Bonnie. I texted this guy I used to know from track, asked if he had a couch. All he said was sure. As long as I didn't make it weird, that was it. Nobody came after me, nobody asked if I was okay. I walked at his place, which was like 40 minutes away, carrying trash bags. I passed by a couple from school, and they stared but didn't say anything. I just kept going. I couldn't even get mad at them. Nobody ever knows what to say, so I crashed there for the night, not even sleeping, just growling Reddit and trying to convince myself it wasn't that bad. But then my phone buzzes, and it's Bonnie sending me a pic of Rodney and my old room, giving a thumbs up. She says, "Hope you're learning to grow up." I didn't reply. I guess the worst part isn't that they did it. It said they didn't even pretend to care. I always knew my parents liked my siblings better, but I never thought they'd just replace me. I told I wouldn't forget, and I meant it not in a sad way, just I don't know, it's like something snapped. I wasn't gonna let it go, not ever anyway. That's how it started, not sure what you're supposed to do when your own family kicks you out for being extra. But yeah, I guess this is where it gets interesting, because I wasn't about to just disappear. Next time I see them, they're not even going to recognize who they pushed out. If anyone's still reading, you ever have your own family just straight up pick someone else over you, like not even in a "oh, we have favorites" way, but in a "we'd rather keep this random dude around than our own kid" way? Just curious. I don't know if it's as weird as it feels anyway. If you want to know what happened next, let me know, because it gets a lot messier from here. Update 1. So yeah, picking up from where I left off, walking out of my parents' new house with my whole life and trash bags and nowhere to go, that hit different. I honestly thought maybe one of them would text or call after I left, like, hey, maybe that was too much, but nothing, not even Randall trying to get in the last work. I slept on a couch that wasn't even long enough for me to stretch out at this dude place who I barely knew anymore. And I just lay there doom scrolling, replaying everything. Not gonna lie, I was mad. But I was also kind of blank, like I'd watched my own life on mute. So the next day, I go out to grab some crappy breakfast from the gas station, and my phone's blowing up, not from anyone in my family, but from Bonnie's group chat that she's apparently added me back to judge, to send more pics of Rodney moving the rest of his stuff into my old room. Everyone's hyping them up, calling him the son upgrade, and posting cringe memes about leveling up your family. Bonnie just sends a screenshot of my old spot if I log in with the caption, "Guess you won't be needing this," and then changes the password. I didn't even bother responding, just deleted the app. What acts really got me though was that my brother started listing some of my stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Not even subtle. My old Nintendo, a pair of shoes, even my busted headphones. My name is still on the boxes in the pics. I send him a text asking what the hell, and he just replies with a thumbs up. I call him, and he picks up, but I just hear him laughing with someone in the background, and then he hangs up. I try to call my mom, and it goes straight to voicemail, so I leave this long message. But a few hours later, I see she's blocked my number. My dad doesn't even bother, so I'm just stuck. I go back to the house that night thinking maybe I can at least grab the rest of my stuff. But the garage is locked and the side yard is full of Rodney friends hanging around smoking something that's definitely no legal. I don't want to fight everyone, so I just walk past, but one of them says, "Hey, look who's back, the prodigal son." I keep my head down and keep going, but Bonnie comes out and blocks the door. She asks if I'm here to apologize or just looking for pity. I tell her I just want my things, and she shrugs, says I should have thought about that before I disrespected the family. I try to push past her, and she pushes me back harder than with Rodney comes out and just stands there, arms crossed. And I realize I'm not getting anywhere, so I leave. I slam the gate behind me, so I'm on my own. I bounce between two couches for a while, just enough to keep from sleeping outside, but it's rough. I get some random cash gigs here and there, but nothing steady. I get the sense my family's hoping I'll just go up and disappear so they can act like I never existed. It's not even about money at this point. It's about control. My dad always said if you don't contribute, you don't belong to. Used to say it as a joke when I was a kid, but I guess he meant it. After like 2 weeks, my mom finally unblocked me and sends this text that says, "Hope you're figuring out real life now." She follows up with, "Honestly, Rodney and Bonnie help out more in a week than you did in years." I just leave her on read. I start to realize the reason they treat me the way they do is because I never did what they wanted. I didn't play sports like Randall or suck up to them like Rodney. And I definitely didn't make my mom look good on Facebook the way Bonnie did. They didn't want a kid. They wanted a sidecar. Doctor who wouldn't make waves. So yeah, I get why they did what they did. I just wasn't going to let them get away with it. Things start to get messier when I'm trying to get my ID changed to the new address since all my mail is still going to my parents, and the lady at the DMV says I'm not showing up in their system for the new place. Turns out my parents never actually put me on the lease or utility. They do just left my name off everything. I'm technically not even a resident. I asked them about it, and my mom says you don't live here. So why would you be on anything? I tell her fine, but you can't sell my stuff. She says if you wanted it, you should have stayed. I hang up, so I start thinking, okay, if they want to treat me like I never existed, I'm going to make myself a problem they can't ignore. I'm not talking illegal stuff, just inconvenient. I start by calling the school to get my transcript sent somewhere else. And I make sure to update my emergency contact to a friend instead of my parents. I open a new bank account and move what little money I have out of the joint one my mom still had access to. I change all my passwords every account. I start making a list in my notes app that they could use to mess with me and go down the list, closing stuff out. It's not revenge exactly, but it's something. One night I'm scrolling through Bonnie's Insta and see a story where Romney's talking about my dad owing him money for helping out with bills. He's bragging to someone about how my parents are over-leveraged on the mortgage because they upgraded before selling the old house, and how is basically saving them from defaulting. I don't even know why he's bragging, but it's obvious he thinks he's running things now. I keep watching and see my brother in the background counting out cash and making a joke about charging rent to anyone who wants to sleep in the garage. So now I know they're hurting for money. I check my Credit Karma, hadn't done that in months, and see my name is all tied to some old bills, not the mortgage thank God, but some utilities at the old house. I realize if they don't pay it hits my credit. I call my dad about it, and he just says that's what happens when you leave, you lose the perks. I tell him I'm not paying for their mess, and he hangs up. I file disputes for every account I can, which starts getting their mail flagged. I also start telling people from the old neighborhood not to forward anything to my parents' new address. My dad texts me once threatening to come find me if I mess with their mail, so I block him. Meanwhile, Rodney starts deeming me, acting like we're cool, saying stuff like no hard feelings bro, but you really should have stepped up sooner. I ignore him. Bonnie sends me a snap of her with my old hoodie, say, guess you don't need this anymore. I just screenshot it because why not? I get a random call from a neighbor at the old house, this lady who always complained about our trash cans. She says there's some official looking mail from me. Asked if I wanted, I tell her to toss it. She says your parents never even told me you moved. I say yeah, that checks out. So I'm bouncing around staying angry. He not letting it go. I start making a plan, not just to survive, but to get even. I decided I'm not going to let them keep everything clean and tidy. I'm not talking about showing up and causing a scene, just making it so they can't ignore me. If they want to treat me like trash, I'll be the trash in their lives they can't get rid of. I start by making sure every account, every document, every single thing that could tie me to them gets pulled away. I call the utility companies about the old house and tell them to remove my name. When they ask why, I just say I don't live there and I'm not responsible. I get a letter saying my name's off. I know this is gonna annoy the hell out of my dad because he hates paperwork. I start saving every petty message Bonnie sends every time Randall tries to flex or Rodney acts like he's the king of the house. I keep receipts for everything. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with it all yet, but I know I'm not letting any of this slide. The last straw for me is when my mom calls my friend's parents and tells them I'm causing problems at their house, trying to get them to kick me out. My friend comes up to me, all awkward, says, look man, my parents are kind of weird about this. Maybe you should find somewhere else for a bit. I pack my stuff and leave without saying anything. I text my mom, you're not getting rid of me that easy. She leaves me on read, so that's where I'm at. I'm not even close to done. I know what everyone's gonna say, cut your losses, move on, be the bigger person. But why should I? I was literally thrown out like garbage for not fitting their mold, and they're still acting like they can just erase me. Not happening. Update, and not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd get this far. But here it's wild how people think they can just toss you out and then you'll just disappear like you're some annoying pop-up on their phone. Now I'm not that guy. I said I wouldn't forget. And by 22, I was honestly just waiting for my shot. I wasn't living some dream life, but I got by. By all the couch hopping side hustles, all that crap, it made me stubborn as hell, and yeah, I still had receipts literal and digital. So I get a text from Randall out of nowhere. This is like 4 years after everything went down. He acts like nothing happened, just throws out, "Hey, hope you're good. Can you spot me some cash for car insurance, like we're best buds I stay?" Eric my phone for 5 minutes. This is the first time anyone in my family has actually needed something from me since I left. At first I think this has to be a joke. But then I get another text, this time from Bonnie, super casual, asking if I can help with something adult. Really, I ignore both. Then my mom starts hitting me up on Messenger, all formal, even calling me Dean instead of the dumb no names used when she was pissed. She says, "We'd love to reconnect. Maybe you could come by the house." I show the messages to a friend, and he says they must be desperate. I scroll through their profiles, and it's weird, like Rodney is in fewer and fewer pics, and there's this vibe of everyone pretending things are fine, but you can tell it's forced. So now I'm curious. I start digging. Nothing sketchy, just regular internet stuff. Bonnie's posts are all memes about adult thing is hard and rent is a scam. And then I noticed she started selling stuff again, same as before. But now it's her own things. I checked the county site for the house info. Yeah, you can do this, it's public, and I see there's a lien on the property for unpaid US stuff. I'm not shocked. My parents always thought rules were for other people. I dig up some old dogs I saved years back and realize my name is still attached to an old utility bill my dad never removed, me probably because he didn't want to deal with it, or maybe just to be petty. I call the company, say I don't live there, I won off the account, and they tell me the only way is with proof of new receipt, dents, or a notarized letter. I get it sorted. But it takes a couple weeks. While that's happening, the bill goes unpaid and racks up late fees. I know for a fact my dad's gonna get those calls now since his credit is on the line. He hates dealing with customer service. I'm not even sorry. I start to think, why stop there all those years? They acted like I was dead weight because I didn't do things that, so now I'll make it. So they feel every little thing they used to dump on me. I remember Rodney never actually signed a lease. He just moved in. My parents always did stuff under the table, thinking they were slick, treating the house like private club. I googled a local rental laws, and it turns out if you're taking money from someone living in your home, you need a written agreement or you're in violation. So I sent an anonymous tip to the Ola that there's an unregistered tenant and weird parking stuff going on. Rodney and his buddies always parked on the grass and block the sidewalk. Classic. A couple of weeks go by and suddenly my brother is ranting on Twitter about how upper trips and snitches. I just grab popcorn. Then I get a letter in the mail from the mortgage company. Apparently, when I got removed from the utility account because my name was still tied to the old address, at flag the mortgage is having occupancy inconsistencies. The bank wants my parents to verify all current residents and their arrangement. This is not some dramatic TV moment, more just endless paperwork and headaches, for which is exactly what they deserve. My dad tries to call me. I don't pick up. He leaves a voicemail saying you're making this harder than it needs to be, and that if I don't stop causing problems, he'll take steps. I save the voicemail. I send a formal request to the mortgage company to remove my info from anything connected to their address. They tell me it'll take time, but I push it through. I know this is gonna make their life hell because banks are slow and my parents hate answering question. I start getting these weird messages from Randall acting like he's looking out for me, but then slipping and stuff like, Mom and Dad are really struggling. Maybe you should help out since you know all the paperwork. I tell him, you guys made your choice. I'm not your secretary. He gets mad, sends a long text about how I'm being selfish and how family means helping out even when things are tough. I tell him, didn't seem to mean much when you locked my bike.